Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, at the outset, I would like to congratulate you, Mr. President, Madam President, on your assumption to the presidency of the 80th session of the General Assembly. Though I assumed office only a few days ago, my government made it a priority for me to be here today because we believe this moment matters. This 80th anniversary of the United Nations comes at a time when the UN is at a crossroad, facing critical challenges. Let me begin by reaffirming Thailand's steadfast commitment to multilateralism. There is no doubt that the world still needs the UN, and the UN needs all of us. For the UN to fulfill its purpose, it must evolve with the changing times. Thailand, too, stands at an important crossroads, facing pressing challenges at home with no time to lose. Our vision reaches beyond our borders to the world at large, for we, like all nations, aspire for a peaceful, just, and inclusive world. It is in this spirit that Thailand stands ready to play a constructive role in shaping a United Nations that is truly fit for purpose, delivering peace, development, and human rights for all. Madam President, this year's general debate theme, Better Together, reminds us that the United Nations is strongest when we act together as one. First, we must unite as one community. 80 years ago, our community of nations adopted the UN Charter with hope for peace. Yet today, we face a world increasingly divided by protectionism, fragmentation, conflicts, and climate change that spares no nation. The war in Ukraine, now in its third year, continues to bring immense suffering and destruction. Likewise, the horrendous suffering in Gaza, where innocent civilians, especially children, are paying the heaviest price, weighs heavily on our collective conscience. It is a stark reminder that when peace is broken, the human cause is borne not only by nations, but by ordinary people whose lives are torn apart. As one community, every nation shares the responsibility to promote global peace and security. And this responsibility must be inclusive. Multilateralism is more effective when women participate fully, whether in peacekeeping, conflict prevention, or humanitarian response. Their voices, leadership strengthen our community and make peace more durable. I am confident that Madam President's election to lead this assembly will inspire us all to advance UN's Women Agenda with greater resolve. Thailand intends to do our part. Our peacekeepers continue to serve around the world, helping to rebuild lives torn apart by conflicts. At home, we have cleared over 99% of mine-contaminated areas under the Anti-Personnel Mine Ban Convention. This is not just about treaty obligations. It is about giving communities back safe land they can live and grow on. It is about fulfilling our duty to our people. Protecting people at home is only part of the task. We must also respond to transnational challenges like migration, driven by conflict and disasters. A shared test no nation can solve alone. This is a real task for Thailand. For over decades, we have hosted displaced persons from Myanmar. Today, we are giving them greater opportunity to work outside temporary shelters so they can live with dignity and contribute to society, to mark our commitment to humanitarian assistance and practical solutions. In the same spirit, Thailand is stepping up our efforts to combat transnational crime, including online scams, as their impacts ripple far and wide. Crimes without border demands cooperation without borders. The vision of one community must begin close to home. Regions are the building blocks of the global community. In our region, peace and stability also lies at the heart of ASEAN's community building efforts. Yet, challenges exist even in our own neighborhood. The situation in Myanmar remains a grave concern. Thailand has provided humanitarian aid along our borders, and we continue to urge all parties towards dialogue and a viable peace process. This is the foundation for lasting peace in Myanmar. And even among closest neighbors, disputes can arise. Admittedly, the current situation with Cambodia is neither desirable or in the interest of either side. Our peace, stability, prosperity are closely intertwined. We cannot move away from one another. We are part of the same ASEAN family. This morning, I intended to say something different and positive, reflecting hope for the future. But I had to rewrite the speech because of the most regrettable remarks by my Cambodian colleague. To my dismay, Cambodia continues to present itself as the victim. Time and time again, it has portrayed its own versions of the facts, which does not hold up to scrutiny because it is simply a distortion of the truth. We know that who are the real victims. They are Thai soldiers who have lost their legs from landmines, children whose schools were shelled, and innocent civilians who were shopping that day at the grocery store that came under attack from Cambodian rocket fire. Yesterday, I met my Cambodian colleague in the very hall of the United Nations. We talked about peace, dialogue, mutual trust, and confidence. This was emphasized later at the informal four-party consultations organized by the United States. We appreciate President Trump's dedication to peace. But unfortunately, what was said today by the Cambodian side was completely opposite to what was said yesterday at the meeting. It reveals the true intention of Cambodia. These allegations were so far-fetched that they make a mockery of the truth. From the beginning, Cambodia initiated the conflict with the intention to expand a border dispute into a national conflict and to further internationalize it, as was the case again this morning. The villages referred to by my Cambodian colleague earlier are in Thai terror, full stop. In fact, they exist because Thailand made the humanitarian decision to open up our borders in the late 1970s for hundreds of thousands of Cambodians fleeing the civil war in their country to seek shelter in Thailand. We made this decision out of compassion and humanitarian principle. And as a young diplomat, I witnessed the scene myself. Although the civil war has ended and the shelters were closed, the Cambodian villages have expanded over the decades. And despite Thailand's repeated protests, Cambodia has ignored those requests to address this encroachment. And when peace returned to Cambodia after the 1991 Paris Peace Agreement, we were there to rebuild and to rehabilitate the Cambodian nation to sustain peace. We built homes, roads, hospitals, because peace in Cambodia is in Thailand's interest. This is what neighbors should do for one another. Mr. President, the ceasefire is still fragile. We must make it work. This demands commitment and sincere actions from both sides. Regrettably, Cambodia's continued provocation, including mobilization of civilians into Thai territory and recent firings toward our side, undermine peace and stability along the border. I am referring to a series of incidents since 23rd of September of Cambodia's troop firing at Thai troops stationed along the border. The most recent incident happened just today. Thai troops have also continued to detect surveillance drones intruding into Thai territory on a daily basis across the border areas. These actions constitute a violation of Thai sovereignty and territorial integrity, and the ceasefire agreement reached at the special meeting in Putrajaya, Malaysia, and reaffirmed at the bilateral border committee meeting. Now, let there be no doubt that Thailand has always and will always stand for peace, and we will do everything we can to find a peaceful solution to the current problem with Cambodia. At the same time, Thailand will always stand firm and resolute in the defense of our sovereignty and territorial integrity. We urge Cambodia to work with us in resolving the differences through peaceful dialogue and existing mechanisms. Today, our two countries face a defining choice. As a close neighbor and as a friend, we must ask Cambodia which path they wish to take, the path of continued confrontation or the path of peace and cooperation. Thailand chooses the path of peace because we believe that the people of both countries deserve no less. But we really question whether it is the intention of Cambodia to join us in this pursuit for peace. For Thailand, dialogue, trust, and good faith are not just words, they are the way forward. We will continue to uphold these principles in our engagement with partners in ASEAN and beyond, including major powers, in pursuit of sustainable peace and shared prosperity. To speak of one community, Mr. President, is to reaffirm that we are bound by shared principles that everyone is born free and equal in dignity and rights. As a member of the Human Rights Council for 2025-2027 and chair of the Third Committee of the General Assembly, Thailand is committed to promote and protect human rights for all. For us, it is not just about holding a seat at the table. It is about making a real difference in people's lives, the lives of those caught in conflict, those living with disabilities, and those who are often left behind. Advancing the rights of women and girls is also central to this effort. Equal participation and freedom from violence and discrimination are not just human rights, they are the foundation of just and resilient societies. Health is another fundamental right that cannot be overstated. Ensuring access to care is not only about saving lives, it is about giving every person the chance to live with dignity and security. This is why Thailand champions the right to health at home and globally. Our universal health coverage and village health volunteers put people first so that no one is left behind and every community is given the tools to thrive. Thailand is also contributing to global efforts on non-communicable diseases and pandemic preparedness, including through the WHO Pandemic Agreement. We do not know when the next pandemic will strike, and only by working together can we be prepared and ready. Mr. President, peace and human rights cannot stand without sustainable development. Yet today, development is under threat from rising protectionism, tariffs, and trade barriers may serve short-term interests, but they hurt us all in the long run and divide us when we need the most solidarity. Thailand believes that true prosperity is built not on walls of tariff, but on bridges of trust. Our path forward is open and fair trade, rooted in people-centered and inclusive development. But sustainable development is not just growth. It is about values and balance between progress and preservation. That is why Thailand's sufficiency economy philosophy, built on balance, resilience, moderation, has guided our development journey. It reminds us that true progress must empower people while protecting the planet. With only 5 years left to achieve the SDGs, we must strengthen partnership at all levels and confront the inequalities and financing gap that still hold back our common future. At the same time, we must never forget that the planet lies at the core of sustainable development. Climate change, the overarching threat of our time, is widening the gap between the haves and have-nots. Without stronger support for those most affected, we will fail both our people and our planet. As the UN turns 80, our task is simple but profound: to come together under one dedication. We are all bound by ideals, norms, and principles of the UN Charter. But the world has changed dramatically. Renewing our dedication to multilateralism is no longer optional. But the truth is, the history of the UN is filled with promises made but not kept. Each unfulfilled pledge erodes the credibility and weakens global trust. If the UN is to remain at the heart of multilateralism, we cannot afford to repeat this cycle. That is why the Pact for the Future adopted last year must become a blueprint for action. To deliver meaningful progress, our national actions must match our collective pledges. But for the UN to effectively deliver on its task, it must be equipped with the resources it needs. We must ensure that the UN has the means to achieve the ends it has been mandated to undertake, so that the UN can remain a driving force for peace and development. Mr. President, as we seek to rebuild, reinvigorate, and reform the UN, we must be guided by the vision of one future. For the UN to guide us into the future, comprehensive reform, including the Security Council, are imperative. The UN must be more representative, transparent, accountable, and also fit for the future, coherent in action, relatable to people, and adaptive to change. That is why Thailand strongly supports the UN 80 initiative. It is not just about closing financial gaps, but a once-in-a-lifetime chance to make the UN reconnect with the people it serves. But as we strengthen the UN, we must recognize its limit. The UN cannot do everything, and multilateralism is bigger than the UN alone. It thrives when rooted in strong regionalism. Regional institutions are the first responder to crisis, builders of trust among neighbors, and the bridge between global commitments and local realities. For Thailand, ASEAN is our home and our center. The upcoming 15th ASEAN UN Summit will show how shared principles become practical cooperation. Thailand is fully committed to advancing this partnership so that regional voices are fully heard in shaping global solutions. Building a strong global community goes beyond our generation. That is why we must embrace the power of youth. Marking the 30th anniversary of the World Programme for Action for Youth, Thailand reaffirms its commitment to invest and empower young people and give them real opportunities to drive change. With this in mind, Thailand is proud to have youth delegates joining our national delegation to the UNGA so they can actively participate in shaping the future they envision. For in the end, the future belongs to them, therefore be built by them. Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished guests, in its 80th year, the United Nations must live up to its very name, nations that stand united. We gather here not only in celebration of what has been achieved, but to look ahead to what more we can accomplish together. The lessons of 80 years is clear. We are strongest when we stand as one community, bound by one dedication and united in shaping one future for all. This is the true meaning of better together as one. Thailand pledges to do our part, and more than that, we challenge ourselves and all our friends here today to turn words into deed. That is how we will make the next 80 years better than the last. Thank you very much.
أشكر معالي